Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is Chance Ball, chapter 27, and this one is titled Dabi's Past. That's very much a you thing to say, you replied to him. I don't give a damn what people think about me. He texted, adding the middle finger emoji for good measure. Except when it comes to maths, you replied cheekily with a wink face. Maths can get screwed, he texted. Maths can suck my left nut. You were about to reply with I'll suck your left nut, but then decided not to because of obvious reasons, and deleted the message instead. If you want to, you can come over now, he replied, sending the cheeky tongue out emoji. How the hell did you know what I was going to text? You sent back, smiling at your phone as you typed the message out. We're soulmates, baby, he replied, and you snorted out loud with amusement. Screw you, you sent, adding the red heart emoji on the end. Soulmates are for losers. Dabi smiled at his phone as he lay back on his bed shirtless, the soft, pliable flesh of his chest tugging at the edges of his scarred middle and the purplish red knotted scarring making it difficult to move sometimes. As he put his phone down on the bed beside him, he heard his mum talking on the phone downstairs. Yin's mum moves quick, he thought as he sat up and swung his legs off the bed and then casually strolled to his bedroom door. He pulled his door open and listened briefly to the conversation downstairs before closing it softly again and heading back to his bed. Mum's probably going to spill the beans about everything, he thought with slight annoyance as he flopped back onto his bed. It's not like I don't want Yin to know about my past. I've already tried to tell her once before, but I just don't want the pity vote. And her mum's going to, for sure, give me the pity vote. As Dabi lay on his bed, the flashback started, his mind picking memories from that day, the day that his dad had completely lost it. Now, this next section, I read it over and it's pretty intense, so I'm going to leave it out because it's very full on. But it is available to read on my website, quirkyfanfics.com, if you are interested in reading it. If not, that's fine, completely understandable, and I'll pick this story back up after the flashback ends. Dabi shuddered as he remembered back to that day and rolled on his side. No one should have to go through that. No one should have to have a father like that. One day, when I do become a dad, I'm going to be the best father ever. I'll prove I can do it. I'll prove I can surpass my old man. Once I become the best dad, I've won. He sighed again and listened downstairs. His mum was still talking away, and he heard her telling parts of their life. I swear if Yin's mum feels sorry for me, I'm going to lose it, he thought with a scowl. Until then, it's business as usual. Yin's going to be my wife, and we'll live a happy life together, free from any kind of abuse. He smirked as he remembered your little antics, things that made you you. Stupid girl, he thought with an endearing smirk. While you were eavesdropping on your mum, you only caught bits of the conversation, but the fact that your mum was crying was enough for you to piece together everything, and you sat down outside the door and hung your head. I know that he had a rough past, but I didn't know just how bad it was, you thought. All I've done is made his life worse for him. I need to apologise. You sighed and got up, deciding to distract yourself from the gloomy conversation by practicing your scholarship interview. Is it cheating if I Google common scholarship questions? You thought, heading back to your room and flopping down onto your bed, and then reaching for your phone in your pocket and opening the internet browser. The next few days flew by quickly, and all of a sudden it was Monday, and you were sat in front of a panel of people at the interview room at Kapuru, sweating bullets. So, Yin, tell us a bit about yourself, the interviewer asked with a mechanical smile. Ugh, I hate this question, your brain screamed before you smiled and started your reply. Well, you started. People don't recognise me without a volleyball under my arm. I live and breathe the smell of Bokassa. You tried to make a little joke to lighten the mood, earning yourself a small chuckle from the lady on the end. The head interviewer smiled. I assume you are interested in our sports instructor program then? He placed his hands neatly on the desk and interlaced his fingers together. Definitely, he said with a smile. I am passionate about the sport and would love to be able to light that same flame in the kids that I train. The minute the words left your mouth, you immediately thought of Dabi and cursed the day you were born. Ugh, that was a terrible analogy, you screamed internally. That's wonderful, the lady on the end piped up. Can you tell us about a time that you had to overcome a challenge regarding volleyball? Yes, volleyball is a team sport, but sometimes I feel like I need to carry the team on my shoulders because I'm a bit of a go-getter, you said, repeating the very specific reply that you had rehearsed over the last few days. This causes me to be a little bit too uptight, and I don't play as well. It's something I'm working on, trusting and relying on others, but I'm getting there, and I'm always open to advice and constructive criticism, you said with a nervous, shaky smile. That last bit isn't exactly true, you thought. I get extremely defensive if someone tries to correct me, but these people don't need to know that. The lady smiled politely. Well, it looks like you answered my other question about strengths and weaknesses too, she said before looking at the man beside her for him to ask his question. Why do you want this scholarship? He asked bluntly. someone I really care about got into this college. You said honestly. We share the same dream and the same passion, and although I haven't finished school yet, I'd love to be able to support them here while doing both schoolwork and college work to prove to them that I too can do it if they can do it. The lady smiled at you again, obviously impressed with your answers, while the man who asked the question nodded stiffly and wrote something down. Oof, tough crowd, you thought with an internal grimace, watching him write. The last few questions were asked, and then you were excused, and they said they'd be in contact soon. Oh, I hope I did okay, you thought as you left the room and headed down the hall. I don't feel like I had them all on side, but let's just hope they let me in. You exited the building and followed the path out and down towards the college gates, your attention being drawn to some courts nearby where a guy was teaching a bunch of kids some volleyball. This is boring, one kid pouted as the guy tossed him a ball to receive. Come on, it's better than washing dishes, the guy cajoled with a brilliant smile. No, it's not, the kid pouted again. You slowed and stopped, and then turned and walked across, out of interest. Hey, you called to the guy and the kid. Ever played the floor is lava? The kid looked over at you and deadpanned. That's so lame. Is it? You asked with a smirk as you indicated for the guy to toss you a volleyball. He did so with a little bit of a pout and crossed his arms across his chest defiantly, but still a little curious to see what you'd do. Every ball that hits the floor means that you lose a point, you said as you punted it lightly towards the kid. He deliberately missed the first one and his eyes flicked towards it as it sailed past and hit the floor. Oops, loser, you said smugly as you indicated for the guy to throw you another ball, which he did. Let's see about this one, huh? You added as you tossed the ball up and then smacked it towards the kid. He let that one go too, but seemed a little more upset that it had hit the ground this time, and you let out a loud fail buzzer noise. Bah! Man, you really suck at this, don't you? You said cheekily to the kid. That's 2 down. You asked for another ball from the guy and then punted it at the kid. This time he jumped to receive it and you smirked. See, the kid said defiantly, I can totally get these. They're easy. Oh, are they? You retorted playfully. Don't let this one hit the ground then, you added as you returned it away from him, making him run for it to receive it. Too easy, he lied as he returned it. You can't beat me. Bet I can, you challenged, making the serves harder and harder to challenge this kid. He was working harder and harder with each return, and the guy who had been originally teaching him stood there with an impressed smirk on his face. I like your teaching technique, he said once you and the kid had finished, stepping forwards and extending his hand to shake yours. Name's Toru Okawa. Hey, you greeted. I'm Yinlin. You go here? He asked, jerking his head towards the college. Maybe, he replied with a shrug. Just had the scholarship interview. A smart girl, huh? He said cheekily with a smirk. I like smart girls. Is that because they make up for what you lack? You replied with a completely neutral expression on your face, waiting to see what he would say. Oof, so cold. Icy, you replied with a smirk. Okay, Oikawa, have a nice life, you said, before turning and leaving. He didn't say anything as you walked off, just watched you go with an amused smirk. You guys shut down, the kid deadpanned at him. You're so lame. I want her as my teacher. You're only 8, what would you know? Oikawa pouted, placing the volleyball on his head and pulling his bottom eyelid down while poking his tongue out at the cheeky 8-year-old. You headed out of the college gates, unaware that one of the male interviewers had seen your interaction with the 2 boys who were playing volleyball and, curiously, decided to go and have a chat with them. Oikawa, the interviewer called to the handsome Alba Josiah player. I see you had a brief interaction with our scholarship candidate. The girl just now? Oikawa asked. Yeah, the cool one, the boy added, earning himself a scowl from Oikawa. You liked her? The interviewer asked the boy. Takeru likes anyone that isn't me, Oikawa said with a dejected chuckle. She's really good at teaching, better than my uncle, he added with a smirk at Oikawa. Now you're just being mean, Oikawa pouted, sassily putting the back of one hand to his hip as he popped it out to the side. Well, that's saying something, isn't it? The interviewer mused with a smirk. Family ties are strong. The fact that you haven't met her before but immediately felt comfortable says a lot about her character. Not this family, though, Oikawa muttered under his breath. My own nephew would sell me to the devil for a bowl of mochi. The interviewer was still deep in thought and didn't hear Oikawa's barely spoken words, pondering things as he nodded to himself and then thanked the boys and headed away. You really did me like that, Takeru, Oikawa pouted to his nephew. You brought it upon yourself, Takeru replied frankly. It's not my fault that you suck. Oikawa clutched his chest like he had been shot, and a pained expression covered his face, while his nephew smirked proudly. You were deep in thought as you walked to the bus stop, music blaring in your ears as you replayed the interview in your mind and wondered what you could have said better. Shouldn't have made that cringe-ass joke. What the hell even was that? you muttered internally. They're probably sitting in that room still, talking about how I suck. You walked around the bend in the path and headed through the park, taking the shortcut to the bus. Suddenly, rough arms grabbed you, and a hand was clamped over your mouth from behind. Going directly into fight mode, you grabbed the arms of the person that was holding you, and held onto them as you threw your body forwards and doubled over, pulling the person off their feet and flipping them over your back and head before letting their arms go and trying to duck away from them. It was only once the person had landed, half in front of you, that you realised it was Dabi. "What the actual hell do you think you're doing?" you screamed, the sudden spike of adrenaline making you shake uncontrollably. "Bruh," he wheezed, pulling himself up to standing. "I did not think that through." "You most certainly did not," you panted, bending over and putting your hands on your knees as your chest heaved heavily, one earbud dangling from your ear. "Oh my gosh, what the heck are you even doing here?" "Came to see my wife." "Girlfriend?" After her interview. Is that a crime? Dabi. There ends chapter 27. Stay tuned for chapter 28 coming tomorrow. I'll see you then.